Well, I'm a creature of habit like most of us, but unfortunately, if you have bad habits, you just keep doing the same bad habits. But when I
Right.
find something that works, like running my business, I figure out a business model and I repeat it every year. You've heard this a thousand times from me. So my process, and I actually put a little slide together to help me remind it. So there's when I think of follow-up, in terms of sales, there's three parts to the follow-up. There's
Hmm.
one when you get a lead, no matter what happens to it, particularly when they go dark, do you have a follow-up to like at least put that lead to a win pile or a dead lead pile, one of the two. And then if you actually get the job, and let's say you're not going to do the job for a month out, what is your process, your follow-up process to keep the client happy until they actually show up and do the work? And then after you complete the job, do you have a process, a follow-up process to make sure that they're actually happy with what you just did? So if you like, I'll just go through exactly, and I do the same thing every time without fail.
Bring it on.
All right. So leads. I answer my freaking phone. Like never goes 24 hours without me at least calling these people back. And normally I just say hello when they call, and they love that kind of stuff. But let's say a lead goes dead. I haven't heard from them for like a couple of weeks. We had a great conversation. They said they'd get back to me, which we know what that means. Well, nobody escapes me without getting what I call a final email. No matter what they wanted, let's say they wanted me to paint a house. I'm a pond guy, so that's just a made up thing. But the email would say, in the subject line, it would say, "Have you given up on painting your house?" Question mark, with nothing else in the body of the email. And the way you ask this is so compelling for people that like 80% of the people who've been dead to me for a month or so, they
Hmm.
actually get back to me. Now, it's not usually a yes, but every so often it is a yes. And here's one from a guy named Carl, and he goes, "This is probably 4 or 5 weeks after he told me he wants to think it over and he'll talk to his wife and he'll get right back to me." He goes, "Yes, I'd like to move forward with the project." And I have saved probably 6 or 8 jobs this year by simply not just forgetting about the lead and letting them go away like I'm sure most contractors do. Once you did your song and dance the best you could do, your sales thing, you're like, screw it, we're done. We're going on with the next lead. Well, they're always going to get a final email. So that's my process. And they never get escape me or my CRM system without me sending the final email. Then I put them in the dead lead pile. And when I hear back from them, and 80% actually reply back, every so often one lights up the lead again, and here we go, we got the job. So that is a process, just for the initial lead.
Yep.
Okay. So when I get the job, and then Tom, I learned this from Tom Reber. He's the other guy on the podcast, by the way, Derek, just in case. So
Yeah,
he
that
always
dude.
says time kills deals, and with us, a lot of times, especially us that have seasonal work, you actually land a contract, and it's a month, maybe two before you actually can do the work, and these people gave you a nice fat deposit check, maybe 5 grand, maybe 10 or more, and then they haven't heard from you for the whole month or two. So I
Yep.
do two things. I say, look, I actually give them a day. The way I schedule my jobs is crazy, but it works so beautifully. I schedule my big jobs starting every Monday, even if they're only 3 or 4 day jobs. And that always leaves me a couple of days leeway and every week as a buffer. So my guys were never scrambling because we always have a day or two buffer, and we could fill it with the little jobs. But I tell them, your job, let's say today is August 6th, I think it is. Say, you know what? Your job is going to be August the 23rd. That's your day. Rain or shine, we're going to be there. And by the way, the week before that, about 7 days before that, I'm going to call you and I'm going to remind you that we're going to be there on August or September the 23rd, just to make sure you're home, because you got to be home when we start your project so we can go over the whole vision. Are you okay with that? Yes, I am. So now we're done. I got the deposit check. They know their day, come rain or shine. And they also know the day I'm going to call them a week beforehand just to remind them that we're showing up in a week. So I just do exactly what I say I'm going to do. And that is good enough for them. And usually when I call them up, they go, "Man, this is just what you said," or "I was just getting ready to call you," or "Yep,
Hmm.
I'm going to be here," and just do what you say. It's not like, "Oh, I'll schedule your job in the future and get back to you." When I leave, when I take their deposit check, they have their day on the calendar. It's on both our calendars, and they love it.
And that's huge for a couple reasons. This is the you won the job. There's a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, whatever it is between. You have the gap of time. That's where buyer remorse can set in if they haven't heard from you, and then they start. Maybe one of the other schmoes that they were waiting on finally got back to them, and because I've seen guy after guy through the years lose projects that they had commitments on simply because they didn't have a follow-up process in between the day they sold the job and did the job. So you can automate this. You can schedule some emails to go out. You can have an assistant do something. You can use the reminder on your phone, send Steve Shinholzer a text and give him an update on where we're at next Tuesday at 4 o'clock or whatever. Guys, it's just the discipline of this, but you're gonna um, eliminate or highly decrease the chance that they're gonna back out and have remorse over this. Because if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're probably charging more than everybody else in your industry in your area. So you probably get the high price thing all the time. And then when they go, yeah, we want to do it, you go dark for a month. What are they thinking? What would you think, right? I mean, it's that simple. So that's why it's so important to have that follow-up process there. And then I think the other side of this is the tail end of the job. Like, you got the job, or you got the lead, you sold the job, you did the job, you knocked it out of the park, and then you literally go dark again. And I can't tell you how many projects I've sold through the years because people couldn't remember the contractor they hired last time. They loved the painter. His guy's name was Dave, or it was a guy named Dave, or whatever it was. And there's zero follow up. There's no email marketing. They're not getting anything in the mail. They're not connecting with them on social media or whatever it is. They're not doing warranty calls, or Steve, I know you have your 333 calls that you and Derek are doing and stuff like that. And one of you guys can explain that in a minute. But that tail end of the follow up, that's where repeat business comes from. That's where um, you know, I mean, think of it this way: somebody hands you 20, 30 grand, and you just disappear. You're like, wham, bam, thank you, man, ma'am, you're out of there, and never hear from you again. That doesn't complete a great experience. You might have done everything great up until then, but guys, we gotta finish the job. We gotta see this thing home, and because this is about the long-term relationship with people. So, who wants to explain the 333 for people?
Well, let me tell you a story about how the 323 came about. Probably, oh Lord, 15 years ago, I fixed a man's pond up for probably 15,000 bucks. He had a pretty nice pond, very nice pond. And then a few months later, when we were doing our annual parade of ponds, where everybody rides around houses and open house, you go see their pond. I called him up. I said, "Hey, Bob, would you like to be on our parade of ponds? Because you have a beautiful setting and a beautiful pond." He goes, "No, I don't think so." I'm like, "Why not? You don't have to be home or anything. We'll take care of everything." He goes, "Well, to be honest, I gave you $15,000 for you to fix my pond up, and you came and you did a good job. You did what you said you're going to do, but I never heard from you again. I got no follow-up from you, and I would have thought
Hmm.
if I spent 15,000 bucks with someone, he would at least call me back and go, 'Are you happy?' or 'How are things going?'" And I was embarrassed. I was like, "You know what? You're right. And when you're right, you're right." So I apologize for that. So I vowed never to hear that again, because it's true. It's exactly what you said, Tom. Some man gave me 15 grand. Even if I did my job, he deserved a follow up. So
Mm-hmm.
what we do now is something we actually stole from Nordstrom. This is something someone told me about that Nordstrom does is after we complete the job, 3 days later, we call them up and say, "How are things going?" 3 weeks later, we call them again. "How are things going?" And 3 months later, we do a final call follow up with them. "How are things? Is there anything that we need to come back and do or whatever?" And I'll just like to finish it with this podcast that I listened to on the train yesterday coming up from Richmond to my home in Washington, D.C. And note to self, I'm a guy who's teaching people, hundreds of contractors, all this stuff, and I'm still listening to podcasts, learning more and more and more. Okay. And
Mhm.
I do this mostly to not just improve myself and my company, but so I can turn around and share what I'm about to share with you. This was a home remodeler, and after he goes in and builds an addition or remodels somebody's kitchen or whatever, he does a 3 months and 1 year walkthrough warranty walkthrough with this person. He sets up the appointment. He has a special warranty person that does it. And what he's really doing, he's going to make damn sure that all the work he did is perfect and he fixes whatever is not. But guess what happens? Guess what happens when he's walking through the job he just finished with the person?
Steve, while you're here,
Exactly. You
there you
know,
go.
the bathroom, this master bathroom I'm talking about, and he literally, now he's a home builder remodeler. He says when you redo a whole house or you build a brand new house, it doesn't work so well. But when you do, one room after another, he goes, the lifetime value of customers for me is about $2 million. Like it generates a boatload of work just because he's trying to make two things happen. One, he's trying to make sure that the things he's already done, they're super thrilled with, and then he doesn't have to say anything else because part two automatically happens. He gets more work.
I'm writing that down.
So here's the thing. I think I was talking to Brad Ballantyne this morning about this, and I know the number's off a little bit, a couple percentage points, but basically 85%, you have an 80 to 85% better chance of selling your services to somebody who's already given you money because they've gone through the vetting process. They like you, they trust you, they had a good experience. I used to do a lot of builder work, and all the builders I did work for had a 1 year touch-up thing, and we'd go in and fix nail pops and touch up walls and stuff. And 100% of the time, my painting company would go in there and we would do that. We'd bill the builder for our time or whatever, and then the homeowner 100% of the time would say to us, "While you're here, we want to change the color of the baby's room, or we want to do this, or we want to do that," and it always led to more money. And that's why I know we talk a lot in the CSA and stuff about making these warranty calls and stuff, because it shows people that you're in it for the long haul with them. So, Derek, bring us home, man. What's on your mind?
It's just the one as it goes to communication and follow up. I sold a job yesterday. I went to pick up the deposit check, and it's my normal protocol. I set expectations. I go over the stuff. And one thing is said, I feel like in our industry, our company communicates better than most. So I'm just curious, how do you guys feel about communicating with a contractor? And I sat back down in the chair, and the guy stopped and the lady stopped for a minute, and they said, the guy said, what pisses me off more than anything is that you contractors, what's going on, there's delays, there's problems and stuff, but you just don't call people. Are you going to call me when there's a problem? And I was like, it's interesting that you say that. Is it okay if I share with you what we do? Because I'm doing the slide the deposit check about across the counter for them to ask me why I did it. And that's what I did. I said, here's what I do. Most likely while we're here, you're probably going to add something. So I need to call the next customer and let them know that I'm going to be a day late because you've added on something to our project, and or we run into a delay and or rain. So I'm going to call you. If I don't call you, Travis, my lead guy, he's going to call you, and you're going to be cool. And the wife said, I appreciate that so much that you're just going to actually let us know. And Steve, you'll love this. She's like, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what you guys are doing. And I couldn't help but laugh. And I was like, you don't even know. You saying crystal ball is phenomenal. But it's just that. So what is the process? And why did we really start this? I think sometimes you just got to create it on your own, but just know the epicenter of the follow-up and communication. Just let the customer know what's going on before and after. And I love the nuggets that we're doing here. I mean, how smart is that? And Tom, I've heard you talk about the warranty walkthrough, but how smart is that to just go ahead and make it part of your company, part of the sales process, to schedule a time 3 months out and schedule a time 11 months out to just go out and see a paid customer, no consulting, just walk through. I mean, that would be huge. With all this time that we're saving using our Shinfu process, we can now go and do that type of stuff.
Now you're going to stand back in front of somebody that already trusts you. They've already given you money. And the way you frame it, I will just give a takeaway for people here before we wrap up. The warranty call is simple. If you give a 1 year warranty on somewhere, 2 year, whatever it is, call about 3 months before it's going to expire. And it goes like this. Hey, Derek, it's Tom with Tom's Painting. How you doing? You're going to be like, great. Hey, listen, I wanted to call. I don't know if you remember, but it's time for your warranty visit. You're going to go, what's a warranty visit?
Yeah.
And I go, well, we come out and we put eyes on the work we did for you, just to make sure that anything that might be starting to fail or is going to be a problem for you, we can handle it before, it's got to come out of your pocket before your warranty's up. And that does a couple things. Number one, you're proactive about a warranty. Most guys are not. They hide from that damn thing because, they view it as an expense. Okay. This is a marketing investment. Okay. It's part of making it a great experience. And so you're going to go and you're going to run into that. You're going to embrace it and you say, this is one of the reasons I was more money. This is one of the reasons why you hired me, is so I would be here for stuff like this. And then what I found is about 40% of the warranty visits that my company did, we sold additional work on, because we're in there. Because the law, I always screw this up, it's the law of reciprocity or some word like that, where they feel, there's two words that are really similar and they mean the same damn thing to me. But anyway, I'm looking at you guys on the screen right now and you're like laughing at my ass.
I know, Tom, sit down before you hurt yourself.
I am sitting, that's the problem. But you go out there and they usually start with an apology. They'll be like, Steve, this seems ridiculous. I didn't even want to bring this up, but this has kind of bothered me for the last couple months. Can you peek at it? You're going to be like, oh my God, I'll take care of it. Not a problem. I'll send a guy out, whatever it is. And they feel bad because you did something good for them. Now they want to do something good for you. And that's where so many times it would be like, well, since you're here, we've been talking about doing this project next year or doing the deck or doing this or that. What would it cost for us to do that? And then boom, you're closing more work. And then think about what they're telling their friends too, about your company. I had one woman brag to her friend. That's how we got the lead from her friend. Bragged because I made a warranty call. She's like, nobody ever calls. Most companies make you jump through hoops, to enact the warranty and shit like that. So anyway, I think there's a lot of upside to it.